Hey you guys, how's it going? In today's video we're going to have a look at Far Cry 5's editor, and they're calling it today the Arcade editor. And on that we're going to look at bunkers, control zones, environment, and loadouts. And let's get started. I've collected a few things that I've thrown down on the map just to have a look at what it's all about and play with some stuff myself. And the bunkers that I'm speaking of, I'm sure you've played in game. These doors swing open if you hit E and you go down inside and find your loot of all sorts. What you get when you actually go up here to your objects and you go to Far Cry 5, go to structures, down to military, and it's in bunkers, 56 different bunkers, if you can believe that. And what you do, select one of those, move over, go pretty close above it so you don't get too much goofball parallax vision, and you're going to have to cut a hole in the ground. Move your cursor down to real small, and you're going to emulate about the size of the green door on the ground. You want it to say add hole if it doesn't. I was just removing some. Alright, probably 4 of these would work deep. And you're done. That's it. Select, go to number 1, select your item, and if you can't find where the pick selection is, mine's up here behind the screen, go to move and select pick pivot position, put one on top, and you know right away, go in reverse here, you know right away through this, if you've played it at all, these arrows, the blue is up and down. This is going to get you left, right here, and this is going to get you forward and back. And if you click the planes, you'll get both. You get forward and backward now and left and right at the same time. Be really careful when you pick these planes, because when you're moving in X, Y, or Z, X, or whatever, it's easy to get things disassociated with the surface they were against or on top of. So I prefer just using one arrow at a time for better placement. Go lower with the ground now and move it over the hole as best you can, moving it around to where you want so it looks fairly centered. You can do it here just a little, and see what happened right away? Come on top and move it just above the surface anyway, and I think it looks better. And there you go, you are done. Move in the game and you'll see just how easy that was. Control E for explore, or you can select it up at top. But it's that easy. You've got it done. And now out this end, you're actually looking off the edge of your world here. You can put different rooms on the end of this, so you can make a virtual city. So you can hide loot in here and ammo, or you can use it as a position to shoot from where you got cover. You know, right now there isn't too much that could see you if you're going to play the game like this. So you can use these in different ways. Alright, so let's get out of here. Go back to our editor. You've now seen how easy it is to put in bunkers. Let's look at control zones next. Back out here. Click on your screen so it lets you get back out. By the way, this is easy enough to remove too. If you've done anything, you're just going to hit Control Z until everything goes away to back up. Or you could have refilled the hole through remove hole, add hole. But either way, Control Z removes that altogether. Hit escape. Now let's have a look at those control zones. Now I think I should show you the reset layout. You're going to like that. That comes in really handy for the times you keep erasing things. You can turn on your editor here, and you're going to turn on control zones like that. And I've set these up right now, and I'm going to show you how simple this really was to do. In the middle of your control zone, you'll see a cat there by that pine tree right here. He controls this zone. So if you hit number 1 and hit this, And you have your object preferences open, which is really important down at the bottom down here. You can now scale this size box for how far you want these animals and these people to be outside of this box. So this is their invisible fence, if you will, like for dogs. And you need to associate everything inside this fence if you don't want it to walk out of there with a preference. So to do so, you simply take an animal, whatever kind of animal you want. Let's take this guy here. Slide him in here. And he's just a cougar. How do you find a cougar? You go on here. You go to objects. Oh no, her cougar, that's under here for AI. And you're going to go to, let me lower this a little bit here. For animation points, you add AI, and you're going to pick what type of AI that you want to add. Wild ground AI is what we're looking for right now. We can push this out here. Oops. Let's just pull this out here. It's being obnoxious. Pick whatever you like out of the bottom of here. Get yourself whatever. Pop it in. So now you have to pick the animal and go to its preferences. And for its preferences you need, see, I keep erasing that. For the preferences you need the default. Now when doing this, it's just simply pick the animal and hit default of what territory you want to lock them into. Now these different numbers have to do with it's just numbering the territory. So if you remember in the beginning I talked about where that cat is in the middle of your picture here. If you have a lot of these zones, you're going to have to refer to that cat in the center and ask it what number that territory is. It's territory 130. Okay? So you can see that everything that you have linked to this has got a link coming back to the center with a line. Alright? Showing that it's lined up with that territory. So now you have to tell these guys not to go out the territory based on this default, or this territory 130. It means stay here in this territory. And you're probably asking, okay, what's the 201 territory? Well, that's way over here. If you follow the line, there's another territory I have over here for another reason, and that is to get that helicopter you have to deal with this bear. Okay? So the bear isn't going to go away. He's always going to be right by that helicopter, and you're going to need that helicopter later, so you're going to have to kill that bear. Alright, so you understand? So now associate this cat with this territory is just simply telling it territory 130. And you're going to know you did it right because there will be a line going right back to the center of where this zone is. So it's guaranteed that cat's ready. Now if you click on this one, he doesn't have a line. So by default, he's just going to run out of here the second you get into gameplay, and he could be anywhere on the map at any time. So if you wanted to find him and you want him locked in a control zone, that's how you do it. And you can reach that right at the AI interface, which is always right here. Alright? And just click on control zone and make sure your preferences aren't covering it up. And you can click on your territory, put it down on the ground, then you click on what's on the ground and it comes up with the XY like this. Control Z. I grabbed everything behind it. That's why. You grabbed more than one thing. Note to all viewers, if you go to select one of these and your XY does not come up and you're wondering why, it's because you have selected two things and not just one. I had selected a building that goes very deep down into the bottom. I had selected a building that goes very deep underground. When I selected this, I didn't pay attention over here to what all had been selected. Bad idea. You only want your territory to be selected, not everything else. And when you do that, no XY coordinates come up here to fix your size of your box. So if we hit escape, zoom back out here, and just pick the box, Read right away territory 213 is correctly circled or correctly there. Then you can go to your X and Y here and make it whatever size you'd like it to be. The Z-axis is needed if you're going to do it for a tall building or a house or, you know, up some hill or something. Pretty simple, pretty cool. Obviously you can do the cylinder too, and it doesn't really have to be a cylinder. As you can see, you can have yourself some ovals based on how things are going. Extremely handy, and also the Z-axis is also usable. Okay, so now let's bounce over to environment itself up at the top here. Now, this is absolutely out of hand. From the time of day, latitude, sun angles, you can read all the stuff you can do here. Changing the size of the moon, the phase of the moon. It's all crazy stuff, but it's right here and it's available for us. So your nighttime shots look so cool. I'd show you how to get into some of this later. It's definitely not something you're probably going to play with right away. Maybe you will, but I might look into doing some other things first and getting the game under your belt if you're that new to it, then playing with that stuff right away. My opinion. Let's look at what else is available here. Well, we have the sky. Can be absolutely unbelievable. So many different things. They're all named really strangely, but nonetheless usable. Some of them are definitely usable. Cloud deck height, the actual height of the deck itself, is changeable. Cloud shadows, can you believe that? I mean, if you want to drive your CPU out of its mind, right? Wind forces, you have it all. Storms, complete with lightning, you know, driving rain. It's really, really cool. Fog densities, I mean, how many different things can we do here? What is it, 15 of them? Almost. Anyway, be real careful with the fog, you guys. I know there aren't a lot of people who like heavy fog in games, and you can tell by the gameplay how many people actually play them. Typically, if I go into a game and I find heavy fog, I'm out. I'm done right away. Backdrop. Wow, they definitely have some issues here, but you can fix it by just moving this left and right. You can choose whatever you want in the background here for your mountain or what have you. And the really cool part about it, like none is what we had before, but when you play the game, they'd put, you know, white cap mountains in the background. But if you had desert, you know, it really didn't match what you had going. But the cool part is this backdrop angle can be changed, and the height. So you'll see it's really about here when you start. And I don't like that blue edge in front of it. It looks so hokey. But if you drop this down a ways, now even when you're up in a building, it's seamless. It looks fantastic. So it's another really cool addition to what they got going here. And then post FX, I don't mess around in here with the color filters. I've found, yeah, you can make it look really strange and crazy if your opacity is just right and your exposure is just right and just the right filters being used. But this is really hard to control and make it still look good. It's pretty much up to you what you want to play with. Audio is really awesome on here too. We have the ability now to add all this crazy stuff, so you can put your, you know, city panic in the background, so you can hear ambulances and gunfire and honking horns and everything else. Other than that, you can do music themes. Alright, and you can have this all looping in the background. Just so cool. Sound occlusion on or off. I forgot what that stood for. I don't recall. I'm sure you guys are going to leave me some comments on that. Oh, this is being a pain in the butt here. This should go... I thought this went down a little further. No, I guess it is the bottom. Anyway, all in all, really, 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 really cool. Let's move on. Loadouts. Another thing they've added. Wildly useful. So you're going to start with which of them you want to name, and you just go along. Put in the guns you like. Loadout enabled literally is going to tell you when you go to play your game whether this is all available or not when you go to test it. You also have your weapon slots where you can just put in whatever start off with your category and what you want in it. Choose the weapons from that category and hit OK. Once you have those, you can do your attachments. I have the long range scope, the suppressor added, and the clip for whatever reason isn't extended, but it is now. And I did that so on and so forth. You go on, keep changing the different gun categories as you go. You select rifles, alright, let's say, and then you would select what weapon you would like from the rifle category, okay, and so on and so forth the whole way down. Brass knuckles, I mean, it's crazy. Down here for ammunition, you can select what you want for different types, as in armor piercing and standard. Note there's no way to give you a whole bunch of just those unless you come over here and you select infinite ammo. That is the only way you're going to get a pile of whatever it is that you want. Back over to our options here. Where were we? We were at loadouts. Your throwables, your ammunition, all of this, even homeopathics. It's crazy what you guys can put in here. All adjustable. You can clear everything out real fast, make it all resettable, explain or put in whatever name you'd like for it, so that when you go in game, you have your choices that pop up here. For assault, melee, stealth, and empty. Even empty, I added a gun. Isn't that funny? This is what I have selected, and it tells you throughout all these categories what you have selected with it, off to the left and right side, flanking here, what I'll have with it. And I put everything with each just to play around in here and really get to know the game. And later I'll redefine it as I go. But it's awesome. So now you hit stealth, boom, you get into the game with all those, obviously, and away you go for Funville, right? This is just such a cool game, it's pathetic. And away we go. Alright. The last thing I'm going to show you are zip lines. Watch this. Come up to the top. Simply go to your game. Let's close everything, make it look like it probably does for you. We're going to go to gameplay. We're going to go to climbing and navigation, and we're going to go to zip lines. Simply select, this says long, this one's the short. You need the long one for something that's when you're standing up and you're trying to get over an edge like this, you're going to need the long one. And then simply go down to whatever it is you want to jump onto. Let's call it, let's say right by this chimney, so I can jump into this skylight. Boom. You have a workable zip line in a few seconds. To prove it, Control E. I'm standing right near the edge. I should start going right away. And you're good to go. And then you can jump in here. You won't lose any health, really. Just wait a second. You'd be good to go. And there you go. So that's it for today, guys. Check out this channel for new content daily. And if you like the content, crush that like and subscribe button and give me some shout out too. Until tomorrow, Far Cry 5 rocks. Out.